Chris, welcome to the show, and good early morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, Jay.
We were just talking a little bit before we hit the record button. We both cheers our coffees together, right?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning. It is a little early for this, and I appreciate you doing it earlier than most people, right? So it's 6:30 Central. 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. We're doing this on a Friday morning, which is incredible for you to give me that time slot. But you in the Facebook group, you give me a hard time, or you tend to boast about when you get up early before me. And is it Roy?
Yeah, it's you and Roy. Well, you guys are always up early, and I'm not up early all the time. Like
Yeah.
I had my W-2 job for a very long time, and now I actually pride myself, now that I've transitioned out, that I don't use an alarm clock when I don't have to. So
Nice.
I'm a 6:30, 7 o'clock wake up guy.
Just somewhere within that hour, which is
Yeah,
incredible, right?
it's nice to not 80% of the time I can wake up without an alarm clock in my life, and that's a beautiful thing.
If I ever leave the W-2 world, I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest things that adjustments that I'll have to get used to, which is weird for me to say this because up until we had kids, my brain really didn't start going until like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. And it was because I slept right up until the last moment possible to get out the door for work. So that was a huge shift when we had kids.
Pre-kids for me too. And my normal W-2 schedule was it was a tech company as well.
Okay.
And we would go from 10 to 6. So I could stay up until 2 a.m. and then sleep until 9:50. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
But now I have kids. It doesn't roll like that. I'm in bed by 9 and I'm up at 6, 7 o'clock.
I'm in by 9 too. And I'm struggling to. Last night I fell asleep in the recliner and it was like 8:30. I was like, oh, this is not good. I also didn't start drinking coffee until we had kids, which is
me neither.
Yeah. It was water or a Coke or something, which I would still have a Coca-Cola early in the morning. People look at
now
me
I'm coffee black, bold, extra bold.
Really? Just
yeah,
black?
I drink it black. Yeah.
I can't do it. If black coffee tasted the way it smelled, I would bathe in the stuff. I mean, I would just so I could drink it. But that I just can't do. And I heard this line the other day that there is no good coffee, only good creamer. I was like, it's pretty strong. It's going to offend some black coffee drinkers, but
yeah, I drink coffee black from the beginning. It's easier.
Really?
I just grab it, go.
I can't do it. It's too bad. Anyway, all right. So we're here to talk about real estate. We're here to talk about a lot of stuff, right? So you had a W-2 job before. How long have you been out of the W-2 world?
About a year now, but I was
awesome.
In transition for about 2 years. I was doing both for about 2 years. I've been doing real estate for about 10 years, but I would say the most heavy double up for the last 2 years. I was director of operations of a tech company, a partner as well. So I was able to have some flexibility.
Yeah.
But I started out my tech career as a pretty hardcore computer programmer for 10 years, hiding behind a computer. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I have nothing against computer programming. I'm saying that jokingly, but I'm an introvert. So I naturally led myself to be behind the computer screen. And I loved the challenge of computer programming. I was the guy that would not sleep for 3 or 4 days and come up with the solution while everybody around me was saying we had to abandon this and abandon that and go try something else. And I would come up with the solution and never give up. And that led to me advancing in my career and ultimately that fire for the drive you need in real estate.
Yeah, so happy to have a fellow propeller head on the show. I don't take offense to it because that is what I am, right? I mean, my degree is in computer science. I've moved on into the sales world, which I know if you're a programmer, you probably look at sales guys like our programmers look at us.
Well, when I was a programmer, yes, but then I realized that I had something inside of me that I wasn't tapping into. I knew there was something more. And then when I started to get that extrovert in me to come out, I realized that I had some sales ability, and you need that in real estate too. And you can find that even if you're an introvert.
So So there was a challenge I did in the Facebook group a while back because we were doing this at work. Is I wanted to the team I have at work is relatively new to me and trying to learn their personality types, whatnot. And I posted the link to I think it's 16personalities.com
Okay.
that allows you to take this test. It's about 15 minutes. I need to get them as a sponsor for the show. Anyway, it tells you basically what type of, it goes to the Myers-Briggs
Mhm.
Foundation or whatnot, and tells you what kind of personality type you are. I'm an introvert, right? And when a lot of people hear that, they're like, no way.
Yeah, right.
But just like you were saying, I am really comfortable behind a camera and a keyboard, right? That is my comfort zone. Now, I always challenge people to get out of their comfort zone to do different stuff. And I take those challenges too. So this week I went to a Toastmasters. I don't know if
Awesome.
you know who those are
Yes.
or that group is, but and my very first meeting, I had to get up and give like a 2-minute speech, and I know I'm up there popping my knuckles and doing all these nervous
Yeah,
ticks and
man.
stuff like that. But how did you, and I'm telling all that to get to a point, did you realize, okay, I'm an introvert, and if I want to get into real estate investing, I need to come out of this shell? Or
Yeah.
was it something that just came naturally? And how did
No.
you practice getting, because personality types can change, right? Personality types can change as people grow and have new experiences. But what was it for you that was the aha moment? And
Well, I realized I was losing my skills of like of social skills. It wasn't I wasn't becoming socially awkward. I mean,
I am
probably,
extremely
but like,
socially awkward, by the
yeah, like, I mean, I
way.
guess I probably was. I mean, but I was so much time behind the computer that I wasn't practicing those skills. And what happened was so I'm 44 now. When I was 21, I really wanted to get into real estate. That was even before tech career. I got
Uh,
Carlton Sheets. I did all that stuff, and I didn't really do anything with it at all. For about 10 years, I was just thinking about being a real estate investor. And I told my wife, I'm tired of thinking about this. I got to do something about it. So at about 31, 32, I realized I needed to enhance my people skills. And I went to a RIA event, and I went up to one person, talked to them, and it was like too much for me. Like, it was like
oh
exhausted
yeah,
after that.
yeah.
Like, but what I did was, I went through the journey that a lot of people go through, which is really self-defeating. You go to something like that. You step outside your comfort zone. You meet somebody. You talk about real estate. You sound like an idiot. It's fine, but then you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm not good at this." So
Yeah.
you don't practice it. And what I did was, I don't know what made that switch, but uh, I went back the next time, and I just kept on doing it, and I realized that I was allowing myself to be bad at it, and I allowed myself to feel like an idiot. And feeling like an idiot is something people will repel against and do anything possible to not sound like an idiot. And I tapped into being okay with feeling like an idiot, and that allowed me to grow and realize that I was building brick by brick more confidence in that area.
Yeah, and I feel like you were just telling my story on the first time I went to a RIA meeting as well, because the first time I went, I didn't know anybody. I was the guy who sat in the corner of the room. Uh, d- Actually, I think I showed up on purpose late because the our RIA meeting has a networking piece in the beginning, and then there's a presenter, and then there's a networking piece afterwards.
Yeah.
So knowing that, I think I showed up purposely late so I could avoid the networking side of it
Right.
because I didn't know anybody, right? And then I'm probably sure I left early, right? Snuck in the back, sat down, was there. Okay, I did it, right? But
Yeah, yeah, I was there.
I was there. Yeah, it was one of those things I checked off, and then that was probably the only time I went. And then fast forward a year from then, and I had a buddy say, "Hey, do you know about this group?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm bragging. Oh yeah, I've been to those meetings before." And
There you
he's
go.
like, "Why don't you go with me?" I was like, "Oh crap."
Yeah.
And to this day, when I walk in that, and I'm a member, I'm not an active member, but I definitely want to support them because Matt Robinson, who puts it on, has been very supportive of me, right? So he's actually let me speak at a couple. I said, look,
Nice.
I will co-host. I'm not getting up. in front of the crowd, right? And I will co-speak with you. And he told me I did a good job, but I'm pretty sure I bombed it. Um, but I love how you took those steps, right? And so before we go any further, though, let's talk about your current portfolio. What do you have now? I know you do multifamily. Do you do anything other than multifamily?
Not anymore.
Okay.
I have done single family flips, single family rentals, which we still have quite a bit of. I've done lending, wholesaling, small multifamily, large multifamily. But yeah, our main focus right now is larger multifamily. We currently have a little over 300 units. We've have about a little over 500 unit experience because we have in the past 5-6 years, we do have 5 full cycle multifamily projects under our belt where we found the deal, raised the money for the deal, run the deal, execute the business plan to either sell or refinance, but then ultimately sale and disposition of the asset with capital return and return.
Very nice.
So we've done the full cycle. It's not like we just accumulated like a freak and now don't know what to do with these things. We are operators at the core of our business, which is probably why we haven't accelerated as fast as when you look back now, like hindsight's wonderful,
Oh
there's a
yeah.
lot of deals I would have purchased that I said no to at the
Yeah.
time, but because we're operators, we were concentrating on becoming the best operators we can be. And I believe that sets us apart right now.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And you're specifically talking about Sharpline Equity, right?
That's right.
That's your group. So I'll make sure to put a link to that in the show notes as well. Totally forgot where I was going after that.
Oh, what were we talking about? We were talking about, being
Apparently
an
I need more of this
introvert,
coffee.
being an introvert. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, where were we going? We're going introvert style. Well, I mean, being an introvert and going into those things, it was like, how did I get there?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I took a year after I started going to RIA meetings and just getting my skill set improved in networking. I still would not say I was a great networker. Don't think that
Yeah.
I went to a couple of RIA meetings and it was all great, and then I just tapped into something that was amazing with inside of me, and it came out immediately. It was years of growth,
Yeah.
years. So I beg of you, audience, tap into patience, and it's not going to happen overnight because I think that I know I did it, which is lack of patience actually starts to allow your mind to tell you that you're not good at it. Like, oh, I should be
Mm,
here by now. I should be Johnny Handshake by now.
yeah.
Then you don't think you're good at it, and then you go retreat to the comfort zone of what you have
Of what
figured
you
out
know.
by now is what you're good at. And sometimes the part that you're good at, like you don't love that much, and there's something else, so you go retreat and go back to it.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point because I like something you said earlier. Might be the title of the show is "Make Yourself Feel Like an Idiot."
Yeah,
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm title it.
I mean, honestly, and I'm sitting here been thinking about what has helped me grow the most in the last year or so, and I think it's that right is just accepting, hey, I've never done this. Nobody should, and I've got a little bit of perfectionism in me as well. Even when I
Yeah,
started doing this podcast, I was like, to where I am today, I'm just man, it's just a conversation. I'm gonna have.
if
Hopefully, I'm
it's
gonna have
not
it
the
anyway.
best podcast ever, I'm not going to do it. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah, that was it. That was it, right? But there were so many angles in my life that I would focus that way, and now and I think this is one of those things that I've learned that I'm passing on. Right? Is I've got a couple of greenhorns on my team at work, and so we're training them up. There's a couple of them that or 3 of them that have been um, 3 months or less,
okay,
right? First month, I'm like, look, here you're just getting acclimated to the systems and stuff like that. Second month, you're actually going to have to start calling on customers. And they're like, wait a
yeah,
minute. I was like, yeah, you signed up for a sales job. You're calling customers. And I was like,
right,
and every one of them, except, well, one of them's pretty good, but every one of them have been very reluctant to do that. I was like, look, and here's how I've helped them get over it. Look, you're not calling the biggest customer. We're going to start you off small. The first time you call somebody, it's going to suck.
yeah, mess it up.
Yeah, see how bad you can fail, you know? And it's almost like a green light goes off. I mean, a light goes off for them, for the greenhorn, I guess
Yeah.
is where I was going. But yeah, it's allowing yourself to fail, allowing that nobody expects you to be an expert, um, on something you're starting out with. So I am curious about something though. When you were 21, you said
Yep.
have always been interested in investing in real estate since you were
Yes.
21. What was it at 21 that got you excited about it?
I think it was the fact that something inside of me knew that it was the asset class that if I studied it, it was obtainable to take the information and then execute that information and control the value of the asset. I felt intuitively that I wasn't interested in studying enough to apply the knowledge if I learned it to be like a stock trader. Now, that
Yeah.
is nothing against stock traders at all. I think they're brilliant. The ones that are doing it right and have that. And I have a quick mindset too, but like it's not. I didn't feel like it was control. It was more like reactive style thinking to patterns, which is what brought me into computer programming. But I felt like I could touch real estate and take the number side of it and control value.
Gotcha. But it took you a while. You've been
Yeah.
investing. I'm going to show off my horrible math skills. You said you were 44. You've been investing since you were 10 years ago.
About 32, 33,
Okay.
I started.
So it took you 10 years
Yeah.
essentially to pull the trigger, right?
Yes.
So what do you think led to that? What do you think led to that pause? Was it just life in general, or was it one of those things where you studied for that long because you wanted to be perfect when you actually executed?
Well, also, I didn't day one know about multifamily.
Okay.
I had heard about just like the flipping and the lease option stuff. Um, I I had maybe sent out a few mailers here and there during that 10-year process, and I did the overthinking thing. I thought the mailers had to be perfect. I mean, I actually did a mailer. I remember it. It was maybe year 5, I'm guessing, but like I did a mailer. I'm like, yeah, I'm a tech guy. I can pull this data. I can manipulate my Excel sheet.
Yeah.
Sent out the mailer. I got calls, and you want to hear something pathetic? I didn't call anybody back. Yeah, it
Well,
worked. It freaking worked. But I was like, oh shit. And I was like,
now
yeah,
what
I'll
I do?
call them on Monday. Oh wait. Now it's been too long since I called them. I shouldn't call them. Like just full self sabotage, like total
But that's funny.
BS.
The good thing I see there though is you took action and you figured out that, hey, this is actually going to work, right?
Yeah,
You just had to find the courage to actually get past that introverted, which
yeah.
I'm beginning to think that you are much more of an introvert than I've ever been.
Yeah, it was. I didn't take action on it, and then I had to get over that. And I was
Yeah.
deeper into my like full on headphone
Okay.
programming world, so I had retreated even further.
Yeah.
But I
So
knew the seed was there, so I had to get out of that. Like my life would have been different, for me, less fulfilling if I hadn't broken out of that. But I knew
yeah.
that I had a relationship builder skill set inside of me, and I needed to tap into it. And
That's
now that actually is my superpower, which is interesting. I'm really good at analytics, and I can take a lot of data and see patterns. But my superpower is beyond that. It helps my superpower, but it is taking my introversion, um, and I'm very quickly able to establish authentic relationships and develop that relationship at a faster pace than most. So I'm not looking to like do wide relationship like with
yeah.
many people. I can go into a room and where the other person is doing 50 business cards and is quite good at it and being authentic at that. That is not bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the 10 business card person, but I'm going to walk out of there with 10 buddies.
Yeah. Uh, Speaking of business cards, I don't know if you've seen this or not, because you're active on Facebook, right? But
Yes.
I keep getting hit by this, and that my wallet was right here, but I have it in this. I put it in the same spot right by the door, and I put it over there because I knew right when we hang up and I get ready to go to work, I was going to forget about it. And here and get to work and be like, oh crap, I can't get in because I don't have a badge. Um, it was. I'll send you a link to this, but it's like a blue. I think it's called Blue Card or something like that.
Hmm.
where I think it's going to be the last business card that I ever buy, because it's
Okay.
basically, it looks like a credit card. But
Yeah.
if I wanted to give you a business card, I would just walk up, tap this card on the back of your phone, and it brings up my profile, and it's got links to all my stuff, right?
Oh,
So
nice.
my Instagram, Facebook, I think I can put my podcast link in there and all this other stuff. So it might be something you want to look into. It's very
Yeah. I
cheap.
mean,
It was like $25, which is a box
and
of business cards.
it works with all phones.
It has to be like I know it works on all Androids. Like it uses the same technology as like Apple Pay and those things where you just
Oh,
tap
okay.
your phone to pay stuff. So it's pretty cool. So I'll send you a link.
Yeah, I would be into that totally.
But it's one of those things where I'm sitting here, man, I don't want to spend $25 on one business card, but I'm sitting here thinking, all right, I've changed company names. How many times in a box of business cards is at least $10 if they're any good,
Yeah, sure.
right? And it gives you one address. This puts the contact right in the person's phone. It gives them all the links and everything I want them to know about me. So it's pretty cool.
What I do also with business cards is I like that for me giving out mine. What I do is I actually prefer getting people's business cards. I take a picture of it. I send it into, I think they changed the name, but it's Contacts Plus, and
Okay,
auto transcribes the whole thing into your CRM, and then I can follow up with people because and you can take notes on the picture.
nice, nice.
So that's very cool.
What CRM system do you use?
I'm using Contacts Plus right now is my entry point of people in that it just gets it in quickly for me,
Yeah.
and then we're migrating over to Active Campaign.
Okay. I I heard this. The evil side of it was coming out when I heard this. I was like, this is a really good idea. But it was talking about, what do you do? And I don't know, remember where I heard it. As a post or comedian, is what do you do with all those business cards that you collect?
Hmm.
It's like, well, you keep them in your car, and then when you accidentally bump into a car next to you, you grab one of those business cards that's not yours, and you go over and you slide it under the windshield and make a note on it. I was like, that's evil. That's evil.
You need to make sure that that's not your top client.
Yeah, yeah. Well, or if it's your top prospect, maybe that's a way to get introduced, right? That would be an expensive lead. All right. So you have you said 300 current units, all multifamily, right?
We do now, yes. No, not. We have about 30 single family homes still.
Okay.
Uh, we sold about around 100 units last year, and now we do tend to look at bigger multifamily. Right now, we
Now,
have
what's
some
bigger
large.
in numbers of
Oh,
units?
yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of different sizes of multifamily, but right now our largest complex is 174 units, and we also have a 96 unit. We've sold like a 60 unit. I would
Okay.
feel probably comfortable at this stage going up to maybe 300 or 400 units.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. And I noticed on your website, and shameless plug, sharplineequity.com, right?
Awesome.
You
Thank
you
you.
have you have a portfolio page, and while you're based in New York,
Yes.
all the properties that I saw were in the Southeast area.
Yep.
Why is that?
We we started about 5 or 6 years ago going into the Southeast market into Atlanta, and the Atlanta market, Georgia market has been very good to us.
Hmm.
And I think we're ready at this stage to go into other markets, which I can talk about. But I think it's very important for people when they're going into new markets to not get into like market blur and like market distraction. I've done
Mm.
that where you're looking for the magic market, and we picked Atlanta for the obvious reasons now, but it wasn't so obvious then. But it was population growth, job growth, rent growth, and it's been very good to us. But there were times when it was like, let's just go to another market because it's easier.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
Atlanta got pretty competitive, and you can lie to yourself and be like, I'm going to go to another market and find stuff that's easier, and you end up wasting time. So we doubled down back into uh, the Atlanta metro and outer concentric rings of Atlanta, because you start to have an advantage when you know the other properties that have sold, what's going on with
Yeah.
them, why they're getting rents. You begin to see things like Neo in the Matrix that you can't see at other markets.
Yeah. And that's only going to come with experience. And I'll say on this side of the fence, where I'm a potential investor, right, is that I was presented an opportunity. Finally told the guy no, but what kept me hanging on to possibly working with them is it was they had their history, right, of the deals they had done, and they had already done. I'm just going to say multiple because I don't remember the actual number, but they had already done multiple deals and holdings within that same city,
Yes.
geo. And I was like, okay, well, these guys know this market,
Yeah.
obviously, because they've had some very good
That's
exits,
important.
and yeah, so
Like like
that's interesting.
like
Yeah,
like if we went into a new market where we are established enough, we have a long enough track record in this type of unit count and the type of assets that we're going to buy and what our business plan is. If we went into a new market, we would have to do the work to tell our investors, existing and new, that we're going into a new market. Here's why, and what are we going to overcome from the fact that this is an entry into a new market. You have to be self-aware enough that that is going to be something that your investors are going to ask of you. So you have to satisfy that objection.
yeah, absolutely. Hey, I noticed you had. Do you still have your property in Foley, Alabama?
That's sold.
Ah, okay. I was going to
And
say if
I don't think it was updated. That was actually, that should be updated. That's sold. That was my business partner's. Uh, I think it sold 3 years ago.
and I think it says and it's probably my notes are just wrong because on your website I did notice when I went back and looked that a lot of it had the ones that you had exited as well,
Yes.
right? So which is important to establish that record. But I was like, oh, they got one in Foley. Where my mind went was, oh, they got one in Foley. That's like
Yeah.
30-40 minutes from here. I need to tell Chris next time he's down.
Yeah, that was a great deal. I think it was only held for 2 years.
Oh
It
wow.
was just purchased right. But yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's what we do. I mean, you have to buy right, and you got to execute your business plan. And exiting is important. From a buy and hold perspective, it kind of stinks because you are getting into a little bit of a flipping transactional mentality of multifamily, when
Yeah.
multifamily really is meant to be hold. When you buy these, you need to understand, what is this going to be like? Even if the intent is to flip, what is it like when we hold? So that has to satisfy that. So yeah, but exiting is important from a sponsor, investor, the track record to show that you can do the full cycle.
Yeah, it is. And you said you've done 5 so far,
Yes.
full cycle. That's incredible. What are some of the things that you look at? Well, 2 questions. When you say flipping, it makes me think you're doing some sort of value add. So are you always looking for value add properties? And then the second question is what kind of exit strategy do you look at for each property?
So
Assuming they're all
we
different.
we are always doing value add. That has been where we have focused. We're looking for a value add component. There are two types of value add that I'm seeing right now, and they both can be combined. A lot of syndicators today are just concentrating on the, let's raise enough money to update the units to a certain place, get rents up to a certain place, proof of concept, let next investor come in. That to me is a little bit of a duh. Like that's like, you
Yeah.
have to do that. What we're seeing is in the older buildings, like pre 1975, we're going in and only doing deals where you capex enough to do the stuff nobody wants to do, and you actually serve up a better product to the next investor that doesn't want to do that stuff. Like
Hmm.
we're doing one right now, like roofs, windows, seal and stripe, ACs, perimeter fence, and we're going to then do only about 10 to 20 units and serve it up. And nobody's really doing that because, and I don't think it's like, you start to learn the construction aspect of multifamily when you're in it for a while, and you understand that these are the things that are actually being neglected by a lot of sponsors,
Yeah.
and it's going to come back to haunt them. We're calling this the Capex tsunami.
I think you're on. I haven't heard of anything like that, but I'm sitting here running through several deals because one of the things that I challenge, I've got some money in a self-directed IRA that's been sitting there for way too long. So I've been forcing myself to look at other opportunities,
Sure.
and so I've looked at a lot, and probably especially the last 2 weeks, but a lot in the last few months. You're right. A lot of people are doing the very cosmetic stuff that's going to improve rents, and not necessarily focusing on the Capex stuff. But how do you get your money back on a Capex? Because I have to imagine that when you buy these and you do the Capex improvements,
Yep.
it's not really something that a tenant is going to want to pay more rent for, which is where you get the spike in value typically, right? From an
Well,
NOI perspective, Capex
two
or cap
two
number.
things with that is
Yeah.
yes, from a direct kind of correlation, the capex spend on a lot of the roof, windows, things like that, don't directly result in higher rents. However, they can directly result in, say, less maintenance being required by the maintenance team, to then be able to concentrate on being better servicers to your residents. And that does result in better word of mouth, that the community is developing, feels good about. So there is a correlation there with doing the right types of capex. You do the roof, you're getting less roof leaks,
Yeah.
less residents are upset. You also can improve the show trail when residents walk in to decide if they're going to live in this community. They're deciding immediately if they're going to live there. And if you haven't done the capex on the exterior, if you had 100 people ready for your ad, you lost 50 before you even knew it.
Yeah.
So there's
So
that.
always start with the outside is what you're saying.
We usually do an outside in approach. That has worked for us. But at the same time, you asked a good question about how do you get your money back from, without direct correlation to increased rents. What we're also doing is, the play would be, you're going to get your money back from a better cap rate from a
Mm-hmm.
refi or exit.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like you are serving up a better product to the next investor, and that next investor is either your buyer, or let's consider them the bank that's going to refi you.
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to that. We're definitely thinking a lot about who buys this next, whether it be bank to refi value or bank to lend to the next buyer.
Yeah. I haven't heard of anybody doing that. I haven't heard of anybody. I'm sitting here. I feel like my mind just exploded for that concept, because that is definitely something that is allowing you guys to set yourself apart from everybody else.
There, well, there's intricacies in multifamily where everybody's concentrating on NOI, and that is
Yep.
true. You have to concentrate on NOI, but these things that we're doing are capex injections. And what
Yeah.
happens is, they're not going to show up on an NOI line, but they are going to affect the predictability of your cash flow. Because if
Yep.
your capex is having needs beyond what you thought, and you can't predict what that will be in the future as much as possible, what happens is you have to take from cash flow to pay for it if your capex reserves were not enough. And everybody's throwing around like $250 to $500 per unit per year on capex reserves. On older buildings, unless you injected a lot of capital in the beginning, that's usually not enough.
Yeah.
So injecting enough capital on the bones of the building, including underground pipes and all that. We got galvanized pipes going that are 50 years old now. 50.
Yeah.
End of life, people. We've
50
already done this
years
on a few
old.
properties. Like, we've
Yeah.
converted them to PVC pipes. So the next buyer shows up and goes, "Oh, 1971 product. What did you do to it?" "Oh, we did
Yeah.
these things." They'll reward you for that, and you don't have to worry about fluctuations in your cash flow for things
Gotcha.
like that.
Do you see as big, and you've done this on 5 properties that you've exited now, right?
Yeah.
Do you see, what kind of returns are you seeing for yourself and for your investors when you
I
do
mean,
something like
that's
this?
hard to say. I'm going to say a number here, and then it's like I get held to it. And then when I don't hit these
You can
numbers
give
in the
me a
future,
range, right?
no, it's cool. I mean, the last deal we just did, we sold a 56 unit. We held it for 2.5 years. It cash flowed the entire time. We ended up selling it for a 63% return total in 2.5 years.
Wow.
Annualized out at like 23-ish. We've had some properties that exited in 2 years that were north of that even better. We've had some that annualized out in the double digits for many year holds. Yeah, I mean, we're good at what we do. We know what we're
Yeah.
doing, and we haven't gone crazy and bought so much that we can't control it.
Yeah.
So because we are paying attention to asset management. There's not enough
Yeah.
concentration being talked about asset management.
Yeah. Do you guys manage these properties yourself? Do you have boots on the ground kind of in your warehouse, or do you outsource it to a property management firm? Because you kind of spread out a little bit, right?
We've always used professional third-party management. So there's the discipline in our team of effectively managing other teams. So third-party management.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is actually kind of fun.
Yeah, well, I'm also used to teams. I mean, I moved up through the ranks to understand how to manage teams
Yeah.
over time. But yeah, you have to bumper bowl a lot. You have to encourage them too, and set goals and encourage them.
How many deals do you look at a week? It's got to be a tremendous amount.
It's a lot, but I don't subscribe to this whole horse crap out there that like I underwrite 100 deals to find one. Like
Find one. Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's just like going in one ear out the other these days. I would say that realistically, looking at like the enter the pipeline, probably like 3 or 4 real ones that I want to spend attention on. So, but I also filter correctly, so I don't have to waste time. Like a deal comes in, we have somebody in our team that instantly looks to see if it's in a flood zone or not. If
And
it's
if
in a
it
flood
is,
zone, I don't even want to know about it.
yeah, that's awesome. So what other tricks do you do? Because it sounds like the flood zone thing is one quick no, right? And that's something I'm always trying to encourage my sales team to do is, hey, get to a quick no, right?
Yes,
We don't need to spend a ton of time on something that's never going to happen.
that's
So
right.
you want to get to a quick no. So you guys look at flood zones. What other things? It sounds like you have a pretty good napkin test for uh, identifying those properties that you want to dive in deeper on. What is that? What are some of those tips and tricks that you want to share with us?
Sure. I would so flood zone is for us. Now that can get into a whole spiral of conversation where some people will disagree and say, "Oh, you can account for increase." Fine, but for us,
Yeah, but
I'm done. I don't want to do it. I don't waste time.
I'm with you
Uh,
on my personal home and I don't want to, it's just, there's just too much that goes on.
well, yeah. I mean that. So our filter is no flood zones. And if there's a flood zone near it, and FEMA has not like very near it, like on the edge, and FEMA has not been back to remap within the last uh, more than 5 years, FEMA's
Yeah.
coming back, baby, and they're going to remap your
They're going to
bug.
stretch it out and then your insurance costs are going to go up. Yeah.
Do you know why
Yep.
we know this? Because it happened
It's
to us.
experience.
Yeah, I mean, had a deal. It was my partner's deal, but I was partners with her while it was going on. So I was active with it, with her, making decisions with her. Yeah, right next it was a creek. Like you never would think that there would be a flood zone issue. No, it wasn't part of the flood zone when bought. FEMA came back, remapped 4 buildings, went from like 11% cash on cash return that was being given out for a few years to dropped it to, I forget, I might be saying the numbers wrong, but like 7. Now you've got an NOI problem to the next
Yeah.
buyer because it's set. And
Yep.
she correctly exited with grace and professionalism and found the right buyer. Ended up after 5 years with an annualized 9%, which it was a full victory on something like that.
Yeah. That's not bad.
And then,
But it was probably projected to do 15 to
correct.
16, right? So,
But
yeah.
that's buying right, and also having a good sponsor that's going to work their butt off to like, okay, we have a situation now. How do we deal with it? What are our options? And you deal with it.
And I don't imagine in dealing with FEMA and flood zones, there's a way to discredit or challenge their.
Sure, there is. You can
Is there?
spend 250 grand per building and raise it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, you're talking about raise the actually raise the building.
Oh yeah, not RAZ.
Yeah.
Lift the building.
Talk about getting into the NOI.
Some other things that we do to disqualify. No elevator buildings. 0.
Why is that? Just
Elevators are expensive to fix. The only way I would look at an elevator building would be if we were buying an A class. Like if that got into
Gotcha.
our world, it would have to be super new, and I would need to learn what the due diligence items are for elevator.
Yeah,
But I don't do elevators.
I'm with you. And if you notice, or at least around here, most of the multifamilies around here are 3 stories
Okay.
uh, at max, because it depends, right? And this is where you got to know when you go into your city ordinances and codes, is that I think most city ordinances and codes around this geo in Pensacola, after you get above 3 floors, you have to have a irrigation system of
Yeah.
some sort in it, right? Depending on the dwelling or whatnot, and
They're
some of them you
expensive.
have to have it on 2 floors,
Yeah,
right?
the new ones. Yeah, like
Not
the
irrigation. Did I say irrigation system?
fire suppression.
Thank you. Wow,
But
more coffee. I'm
it
glad
is
that you knew what I
irrigation.
was talking
Technically,
about,
you're
though.
correct. You're
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. Technically, I'm correct. Yeah.
Oh, another one is it's not a direct cancel, but this is where we get blown out on some deals, meaning like we're just not going to make the numbers and be competitive. Flat roofs, I'm okay with, but to put a flat roof on the way we want is probably like we're not going to beat our competitors on the bid.
Why flat roof? Why flat roof versus a pitch roof? Why do you? What's the?
We just find that the flat roofs tend to pool water, and if they're not done correctly, you now have just leaking issues that are just constant on your
Yeah.
demands on energy, maintenance, whack-a-mole, Capex,
Yep.
and then to redo flat roofs
Whack-a-mole.
correctly.
That's awesome.
Like they just it ends up getting expensive. I mean, I've seen a couple of deals where I really liked where they re-roofed it, re-TPO'd it,
Yeah.
uh, and like I don't know, like you're into it. You realize you're like, okay, I think this is gonna last a long time to get a roofer up there, and they're like, it was done wrong or not done
Mm,
great.
yeah.
And it just when it's not done great on a flat roof, it's a time bomb.
I have one of the best roofers for my single family and stuff, and he does some multifamily stuff too. But I haven't bought anything in the area that he serves, and he's not the cheapest, but damn, he's one of the best ones ever. And he just shoots me straight. He's like, "Look, man, here's what's going on." To the point where I have never presented him a leak that he couldn't fix.
Awesome.
Usually he fixes it in the very first shot at it. Right? He'll come down. Hey, man, that was done wrong. Like I got a leak now that he told me he was. Anyway, I'm going to get off on a tangent talking about myself. It's not what we're here about. But anyway, the point I want to make is I luckily found him,
Yeah.
but he's been my roofer for 6 or 7 years now, and
Yeah.
he's incredible. So find those good trades if somebody's not treating you right.
Oh, one more thing I think that people have to know out there. If you're buying pre-1975, nobody's really asking about this. It's starting to happen, which is good. Is we will look at pre-1975-ish, pre-1980, pre-1975. It's right a gray area in the 70s, but we've done it twice now on buildings. Uh, if pre-1975, we are going to ask what kind of piping is underneath the main lines, not the in the unit piping. Everybody says copper. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm
Right.
talking about galvanized or PVC or ductile pipe underneath. I want PVC or ductile underneath. And if it's cast iron or galvanized, we know that it's the time bomb's going to happen. We've done it twice already. We lose competitiveness when we see pre-1975 stuff because we know we have to Capex to do it to be safe. We did it on our 174 unit. We knew there were some leaks. We knew that the owner was taking care of them, but we did Capex enough. We're like, wow, I feel like this is going to happen. The owner did plug the leaks. We thought we were cool. It's like day 7 after closing, another leak happens. Whack-a-mole, $2,000 to $4,000 digs. The second time it happened, we were like, forget this. We got quotes. We dropped $100,000 to get galvanized to PVC, put main shutoff valves to every single building, and we dropped the water bill from $21,000 to $11,000 for the month. So
Wow.
a year payback on it. And this, now you can serve up this product to the next investor,
Yeah.
and they're not worried about it. And also for us, for predictable cash flow, and in this particular case, it's predictable NOI.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So keep an eye
That's
out
awesome.
that, people, and start talking to your brokers about this stuff. That actually helps the future investors out there. Brokers are kind of like, yeah, it needs a new roof. Like everybody knows that, but they don't want to hear about underground piping and discounts. Like, so if more people are saying, did you do the underground piping? It will get out there and owners will have to do it.
Yeah. That's an excellent point. Yeah, and it's funny those capex things that have those long lifespans. You know, roofs are one of those things that you can physically see, right?
Yes.
Piping is not, right? So if you're dealing with that asset class, um,
It's
or you
also
can't,
not fun. You're tearing it up. You're like ripping up
yeah,
the parking lot, and you're also talking about sewers and crap. And oh, sewer, you're talking about effluent, and you're talking about like drinking water. So it's like
yeah,
serious stuff.
yeah. Chris, this has been amazing, man. We're coming up on time. I want to make sure people know how to get in touch with you if they've got questions and everything. What's the
Sure.
best way for folks to do that? And before you get into that, I definitely want to have you back on
Awesome.
sometime soon. I think I had to so I've gotten to this point where, and I didn't do this at the beginning, but with us having several kids under the age of 5, you've got a few kids yourself. You told me earlier, you get this, but I've had to reschedule almost every podcast in the last 2 months.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure you fall into that category too. I don't know. There was something, I know just something in my mind says we had this schedule before or whatever. So,
I think I rescheduled it though. It wasn't you.
well, I'm apologizing. I'm apologizing to you and everybody else because it has typically happened. So that's kind of been my intro and I forgot to do it. So, for whatever reason, but, back on you. How can people get in touch with you? And you have a Facebook group that we'll make links to in the show notes, but tell us a little bit about it as well.
Sure. I'm available online. You can reach sharplineequity.com. You can fill out the contact form. Chris Jackson on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn, Chris Jackson Sharpline. We also have a private Facebook group called Multifamily Unveiled, and we do a lot of videos and do high quality shares of various articles and links that could help your journey. And we talk about a lot of the things that other people aren't talking about. A lot of the things that are the how to not sound like an idiot stuff, like what is IO, things like
Yeah.
that. Interest only, by
Yeah.
the way.
Well, it depends, right? If you got your propeller hat back on, you're talking about input output, right?
Yeah, correct. And you might say that to a banker, and they're like, "What?"
What the heck are you talking about? They'll smile and nod and all that other stuff. Chris, this has been fun. Definitely, I'm actually going to go fill out. I don't know that I'm on your list of potential partners, so I definitely want to do that.
Cool.
Um, and what else? What else? What am I forgetting? Where's my notes? I'm freaking out. No, I'm just kidding. So the last question that I knew there was something else. Last question I tend to ask everybody here in the last several months is that, where is the market going? Everybody has this crystal ball. Everybody's looking at things, and the deal that I backed out of, and I told the guy who was sponsoring, I was, look, man, if we were in a different spot in the market, because they were doing huge value adds, but it wasn't to the capex like you guys are doing, which has got me extremely interested. It was the same story, right? That you keep hearing over and over again. And I don't know that the property will support it in a couple of years when they try to exit, because I got a feeling where I think the market's going to be in a couple of years, it's not where it is today, right? So, where do you think we're going when it comes
Are
to the
you talking
multifamily market?
multifamily?
Yeah.
Yeah, crystal ball thing. I don't mind throwing a shot at it, but like we underwrite to mitigate
Yep.
where that could be, because nobody knows. Because last year we thought that interest rates were going to go up, and now interest rates look like
That's
they're going
true.
to stay and must possibly go down. We have some proof of concept, if you will, that Europe did very low interest rates. If that occurs and there's a recession, you would have interest rates go down and you would have a plateau effect on pricing. So I
Yeah.
think that there's still demand. I think you have demand on the millennial market, even though they're starting to buy houses a bit. You have the Gen Z behind them. I like properties that also cater to the garden style first floors for 55 and older.
Yeah.
So if you concentrate on those, and I do think there's going to be a Capex tsunami that that is going to reward those that can find the deals where the pricing makes sense, where you can deploy the right capital, and then you will be rewarded by the market that you did the right things.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's going to get harder for newbies to do multifamily because their banks will probably not let 75 people come up with a net worth of 2 million.
Yeah. Well, and you make a good point there too for newbies, and I want to make sure, this warning for folks who are trying to get into multifamily or not thinking about those huge capex expenses that are now, reaching their end of life, is that if you don't know this stuff and you look at a deal and you're thinking, I've got this amazing deal in my hands, let me go raise money, let me close it. And then, man, are you going to get burnt? Right. So you really
Yeah.
got to know what you're doing when that comes to that sort of thing. So
And when you hear
that's
these things, don't run for the hills also. Like, don't become a binary thinker of,
right.
oh, like it's going to get harder for new people. That means I'm going to wait. That's you doing what everybody does. That's what I did for 10 years. Don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like, get in. You can kick the can and get pissed off that the market is hot right now, but that's just where we are. Learn it, stay in it, get better at it, learn your craft, and then execute on the one that makes sense. Just understand where we are, but don't kick the can and be like, oh, I'm going to wait until everything's perfect, because then you're going to show up when everything
Yeah.
like, I'm going to have the advantage while the market fluctuates or goes down because I've been in it for a while, and you'll be like, what's going on?
Yeah. It'll be like me releasing this podcast, wait until everything's perfect, and it would never happen. And
Yeah.
now, I thought
You're
about this
doing
the other
great, by
day.
the way. You're like, we're having a great conversation. This is
Thank
awesome
you.
podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the other day I was thinking, okay, April is going to be 1 year anniversary, and it is
Whoa,
not.
that's it?
Yeah.
Well, you're doing really good on marketing and branding, because in my mind, you've been W2 capitalist for like 5 years.
No. Yeah. No, this W2 Capitalist actually launched about 2 years ago. A year ago, the podcast was like, matter of fact, I think I suck at marketing to the point where I've now hired 2 marketing people. And the first one a couple of weeks ago says, hey, I need to see your business plan. I was like, you want me to write one? Because I don't have one. And I announced this to the
My business plan is get in front of more people.
well, yeah, no, in my mastermind the other night, I let that cat out of the bag, and they were like, how in the hell? I was like, well, all I'm doing is publicizing what I would be doing anyway, right? Like, I would rather, for you and I to have this conversation, I would like for us to have this conversation, right? Anyway, but it's just one of those, and I was having those conversations, and I was like, okay, well, maybe more people can hear about this. So yeah, it's, I appreciate that. And it tells me I'm doing something right, but but yeah, it's very new. It's very new. So I've got some exciting stuff. I'm not ready to talk about just yet, but it's coming hopefully here pretty, hopefully in 2 months.
All right.
I'll announce
Happy
it.
to be a part of it. And I love talking about this stuff. As you can
Yeah.
tell, it's something I'm passionate about and got there, living the dream. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's wonderful. I can talk about this stuff all day.
Me too, but I got to get to work. I got to get ready to go to work. You don't. You can go back to bed if you want
Yeah, I
to.
do. I got my.
Chris, I appreciate it very much. I will chat with you again soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right. See you,
Take care,
buddy.
everybody.
Hey, 4 things before you get out of here today. Number 1, thank you for watching. Sincerely appreciate that. It helps with our ratings with YouTube and all that. And along those lines, speaking of helping with ratings, if you could just hit that like button for me, the little thumbs up, and also subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We are trying to grow the presence here on YouTube, and this is you liking, subscribing, and commenting helps with that whole algorithm piece. So let us know. It also helps me know what kind of content you're interested in. And in the comments section, if you just list that one gold nugget that you took away from today's episode, that would really help me out and engage, right? I'll get an alert when you say something about the episode today, when you make it in the comment, and I will respond to you right away. And it'll be me. It won't be anybody else, I promise. And also, I can't let you get out of here today. This is point number 3, I think. I can't let you get out here today, but highlighting this affiliate for us, Deal Check, incredible piece of software. Whether you're doing burrs, you're doing fix and flips, you're doing buy and holds, and buy and holds is single family and multifamily. I used it last week to underwrite an 8-unit deal, and I'm going to be using it for any of our properties up to a certain number. Probably after the 50 range, I get my real heavy duty calculator out that I'll use that, but I'm also going to then take that and put it in the deal check, because the graphs that and just the amount of data they put into the reports that you can provide banks. Hell, I even sent one to a seller. I was like, here's the number. I know you're probably not going to be happy about it, but here's why I sent it to you, because I'm trying to hit these numbers, and we're currently negotiating on that deal. So we'll see what happens. But we have an affiliate code in the description below. Make sure you use that. If you don't, just go to dealcheck.io from any browser, and you can be able to sign up there. Signing up is free, right? So you can use it. You only start paying for it once you need to start unlocking pieces of software. For what I do with it, I'm a buy and hold guy, so from what I need, it's $5 a month when I use the promo code W2CAP. So make sure, whether you use our affiliate link or not, that you use that promo code, because it's going to give you 25% off either the monthly subscription you sign up for, or the annual. They've got 2 different options. The annual gives you a little bit better discount anyway. The fourth thing is Operation Underground Railroad. If you've listened to anything that I've been doing for the last year, you know that I highly support this organization. Again, the promo code W2CAP, you can text that to 41404, and you're going to get an immediate response link back to our fundraiser page, so you can see what we're doing for them. But also from there, you can hop over and see what all they're about. Highly recommend you follow these guys on social media and everything like that, because they're just ridding the world of not only human trafficking, but more specifically child sex trafficking, which is the most disgusting thing that I can ever think of, that this goes on. My heart goes out to those kids, and that's why I support them, right? Having 3 of my own, I just can't imagine them being in that environment. I'll give you a bonus. Okay, that was the 4 things, right? So like, follow, subscribe is number 1. 2, deal check was number 2, I think. I'm losing count here. OUR was number 3. The 5th, whatever the next number is, the 4th or 5th thing, is my hat has been crooked this entire time, and I'm not going to do anything about it. It's fine. It's okay. All right. On a serious note, let's get to work.